In the spring of 1917, Congress votes down the declaration of war Woodrow Wilson asked for, the isolationist bloc holding just enough seats to keep American troops out of a European war for the second time in 3 years, and this time the decision sticks for good. No American destroyers cross the Atlantic to help hunt German U-boats. No 2 million American soldiers arrive in France over the following 18 months. The war Britain and France have been fighting since 1914 stays exactly what it was before 1917, a contest between exhausted European powers with no fresh continent's worth of manpower waiting in reserve. By late 1917, Germany's high command, no longer needing to fear an American buildup that never comes, gambles everything on one final offensive in the spring, moving divisions freed up from the collapsing Eastern Front after Russia's own revolution knocks it out of the war entirely. Without American doughboys plugging the gaps in the Allied line, the German spring offensive breaks through further than it did historically, pushing within artillery range of Paris itself before exhaustion, not American reinforcement, finally stops the advance. France, bled by nearly 4 years of trench warfare with no American manpower to share the burden, is the first to signal it cannot continue past 1918. Britain, still standing but financially hollowed out without American loans propping up the pound, follows within months rather than press on alone. The armistice that ends the war in late 1918 is not the clean Allied victory that happened historically. It is closer to a negotiated exhaustion, Germany still occupying captured territory in France and Belgium, with nobody having the reserves left to force the other side into an unconditional surrender. There is no Treaty of Versailles as history remembers it, because there is no clear Allied victory to dictate its terms. Instead, a negotiated peace at Compiègne leaves Germany diminished but not humiliated, its army reduced but its economy and territory largely intact, and no war guilt clause forcing it to accept sole blame for a war that ended in exhaustion rather than defeat. This changes everything that follows. The hyperinflation that devastated Germany's economy in the early 1920s, driven partly by reparations histories Germany was forced to pay, never reaches the same catastrophic scale. The resentment that fueled a young Austrian corporal's rise from beer hall agitator to chancellor loses its most powerful recruiting argument, the stab-in-the-back myth about a humiliating, unfair peace nobody actually imposed this time. Without American loans rebuilding Europe through the 1920s, and without American markets absorbing European exports, the interwar global economy is smaller and more fragile than the one that actually existed. The Great Depression, when it arrives, hits a world with less American capital circulating through it in the first place, and recovers along a different timeline entirely. Whether a second general European war happens at all in a recognizable form is no longer certain. Without a Nazi rise built on Versailles-era humiliation, without an American economy large enough to eventually decide any future conflict's outcome, the entire architecture of the 20th century as history actually produced it simply does not exist in this version. By the 21st century, the world's dominant powers are Britain, France, and whichever version of Germany emerged from a war that ended in stalemate rather than punishment, alongside a Soviet Union, or whatever government emerged from Russia's revolution, still shaped by a European order America never got the chance to rebuild in its own image. There is no American century, no Bretton Woods system, no dollar as reserve currency, no United Nations built around an American-led victory in a war that, in most versions of this timeline, never happens the way it happened historically at all. What do you think? Does a world where America stays isolationist after 1917 end up more peaceful without an eventual Nazi Germany, or does European power just find a different, equally dangerous way to reorganize itself? Drop your answer below. Subscribe for more what-if scenarios.